Hey everyone, everyone is doing well in this workout. It was a moderate squat, a heavy bench day, some pulling stuff. It's kind of a combination of two different workouts because yesterday there was a snowstorm, so the gym closed early. So when Kenny and I got there, the gym was closed, which was really annoying. But ended up cutting out some different things. I originally had snatch pulls planned, and I cut those out in lieu of just doing more pulls with the clean form. The heaviest squats I went up to was 395, which I did for single, then I did for double, which those all went well. I was a little bit sore and achy, but they moved decently. Then went on to bench, and I started over at the weightlifting, or in the kind of the open space in the back where you see most of my videos. Then I went over with Derek, and he has an Ohio Power Bar, which is really nice to use. So I went over there for my last couple sets for the 305, the 315, and then the drop set with 285. I was generally happy with how the pressing went. I was getting stuck at the tricep point of the lift, so I have to be conscious of that when I'm pressing to make sure that I'm not getting locked up too much there. Obviously the goal in the future is to improve the strength of the triceps. My speed off the chest has actually been pretty good as of late, which is a positive, which means my shoulders are getting stronger, but I just have to continue to work on building my triceps as well, since that's kind of getting stuck at the top with that midpoint. But I think that'll be something as I do more dips and stuff that I'll be able to develop to a higher extent. Right now I'm trying to focus on the competition movement of the bench press and not really try to vary it too much with other accessory movements. I did do some tricep stuff at the end, but I didn't really worry about doing, or I haven't been really worrying about doing too much accessory since the competition's in 2 weeks. I guess as of today really, because we have 2 weeks starting next week. I don't know, it's on like the 27th. But when I got done with benching, I went back and did some cleans. The goal was to work up to a max with power cleans. Some of it was not a max in the typical sense. I was not able to do a power clean with 265, so that's where I stopped. My video cut out with 245. My battery died on the camera, so I didn't get that rep. That was the last power clean that I did. My best power clean I've ever done has been 265. And that was actually back when my cleans weren't as good, and I got under the bar by splitting, as far as like spreading my feet out more so than dropping under it. So my best with that form, with like properly going under it and not just spreading my feet, has been I believe 255. Apologize if you hear that in the background. That's just the heat turning on since it is quite frigid outside. But after I did the cleans, I did some clean pulls, or I guess power cleans attempted. I did some clean pulls, which those felt really good. Then I did a little bit of deadlifts, and I experimented with the clean pulls, but also with deadlifts, with having my hips a bit lower. Essentially with the deadlifts, I tried to have my hips similar to a position that I would do cleans from, and I found that actually helped quite a bit with how they were feeling. They still move kind of slow. I was kind of expecting that, but I went up to 405 pounds. I did a set of 3 or 4, I believe, and they felt really good, and that wasn't really getting stuck off the floor or like that initial breaking the floor as much as I had been in the past. So that was a big positive, that I didn't have to worry about with those reps. Obviously the weight was really light, so it's not a true representation of something that I have to, something like fixed or whatever. But I think if I start my hips a bit lower, it should help me to initiate my quads to get the weight off the floor, because once I really break anything off the floor, I can kind of shimmy it up in some fashion and get it up to the lockout point. Really, once it's past my knees, I can lock out pretty well. So it's really just getting it off the floor, and I think doing that will put myself in a better position, and it'll make all my pulls kind of similar, which will be to my advantage. Once I finished the deadlifting stuff, I did some overhead pressing. It's just 135. It was like 2 sets. I think it was set of 10 and then set of 11, and then just did some like tricep extensions with a barbell after. I don't think I recorded those. But next week we'll kind of start the beginning of my deload. I was thinking of continuing to go heavy next week and then having that week deload before the competition, but I think I'm going to really take 2 weeks. Obviously this week I can still go a bit heavier, but it won't be anything like I have been doing in the last couple of weeks. It will be toned down a little bit, and as far as volume goes, I'll most likely try to keep the intensity somewhat high, obviously since I have a competition where the intensity will be super high. So next week will be a bit high, more as far as intensity and volume, obviously, and then the last week will be kind of low both. It'll just be enough to kind of maintain, but the goal really with these next 2 weeks before the competition is try to get everything as recovered as possible. If that means to take a bit more rest and to do a bit less, then that's what I'll try to do, because I want to feel as good as I can before I go into the competition. But based on how everything went today compared to a couple different workouts, especially the pulling, I'm happy with how those felt, and hopefully they can continue to feel good, and I can have a good competition with that. But next week will be a really big indication with how my body is feeling, and just a metric for me to measure myself upon to see what's really going on with everything, what I can expect for the competition. I don't know how close to openers I'll get next week, but we'll see about that. And then the last week, just a couple sessions of light work just to really get the body moving and continue to flow. And then the competition, which will be on that Saturday. So 2 weeks from now, I believe it's the 27th, and looking at my calendar down here, that would make sense, because that'd be 14 days from now. 13 plus 14 is 27. So I believe it is that date. But I'll have lots to talk about after that competition as far as how it went, and the plans for the next block of my training, and more of the specifics with that. I'm kind of going back and forth a couple different plans that I'm looking at, and I'll probably stick with the original one that I was looking at least for a little bit, and it just, the big focus is just getting stronger. But I'll talk more about that later. I'm going to wrap up this video here. Hope you're all having a great day, and I'll talk to you all in the next one. Peace.